Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajakacarya Vajasto Tarasata Sri Sriman Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajakacarya Vaja Asto Tarasata Sri Srimad Kuluchuramani Sava Shastra Siddhantavet Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhagya Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Sri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sapashada Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Sarup Damodar Ramananda Rai Ki Jai. Jai Vishwabranya Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Go Gopi Govardhan Shyamakund Radha Kund Kalindi Jamuna Ji Ki Jai. Srimati Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Sri Govinda Kunda Ki Jai. Sri Koladeep Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Hapaniya Dham Ki Jai. Sri Bhaman Paradam Ki Jai. Braja Mandal Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Purushottama Ketta Dham Ki Jai. Balaram Subhadra Jagannath Ki Jai. Bhakti Vindhavanashana Shri Narasingha Deva Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravaha Shri Palad Maharaj Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavat Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Akaramataraj Sri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Navadvip Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. London Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Tadiya Shaka Mat Ki Jai. Tadiya Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Shamadeita Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Anitai Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bo. So welcome everyone to our Sunday afternoon talk. As normal, this is Jai Gurudev being broadcast from the East London branch Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and as we've been doing for so many months actually now, we're going through the books of our founder Acharya Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. So these are all talks that he gave between 1981 and 1988 in English, and they've been recorded in different books. We are currently going through the Sri Bhakti Rakshak Divyavani Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 2, and this is Chapter 8, which is called Approaching the Higher World. So somebody asked Srila Guru Maharaj a question. Guru Maharaj, what is the reason that the Brahmins of Jagannath Puri do not allow Westerners to enter the temple? Srila Guru Maharaj's reply. This is rather a case of physical purity. They strictly observe the physical purity. They don't allow even the mridanga into the temple. According to them, if it is analyzed, it is impure since it's made from the skin of a cow. Also, there was a Pandit of the Smarta Sampradaya who had a peculiar religious conception. Wherever he went, he always kept the wooden sandals of his guru tied about his chest. Once he wanted to enter the temple at Pandrapur, but he was refused. The Brahmins there told him, they may be your guru's sandals, no doubt. They may be pure to you in your relationship, but we nonetheless consider them sandals, so you must leave them outside. Such Brahmins strictly reject physical impurity with some mental modification. This is their custom. So both the mental and physical habits of the Mlecha and Javana, non-Vedic races and sects, are impure, that is, closely connected with hingsa or animal killing, etc. And generally their lifestyles are uncontrolled and boisterous in many other ways. They are not regulated as according to the Vedic scriptures. Considering those Brahmins won't allow them entry to the temple. Even Gandhi wanted to enter the Puri temple with some of his outcasts or lower caste followers, but they were prohibited. Gandhi also stayed out. He wanted to enter along with the outcasts of society. Despite his great influence over the country, he was still refused entrance. Without his knowledge, Gandhi's wife entered to have the darshan of Lord Jagannath, and when he came to know of this, he severely chastised her for entering without him. So Gandhi was more of a patriot than a devotee. He thought his lordship over his wife was permanent and absolute, not to be modified even by the devotion for Lord Jagannath. But according to us, his wife did right. How permanent is the relationship between husband and wife? For the main part, it is only a bodily relationship. And what is the relationship with the Lord, the husband of husbands, the master of the whole world? What is the nasty husband in this world in comparison with the Lord of the whole universe? For a national cause, or the cause of his political creed, Gandhi wanted to check his wife going into the temple, as though God were within his jurisdiction of politics. Haridas Thakur never entered the Jagannath temple, and nor did Rupan Sanatan. Not only that, but Sanatan Goswami even avoided the main streets where the servitors of Jagannath temple would usually pass. He did not walk there, giving respect to the current laws and bylaws of the Pandits, the Pandas, the Brahmins, whose edicts were above the jurisdiction of the king. Furthermore, Sanatan Goswami wrote in the Hari Bhakti Vilas that the devotees should try to follow all the rules and regulations he had listed therein. And any further practices that were not mentioned should be ascertained by noting the current practices in the temple of Jagannath. He was so Catholic in his faith in Mahaprabhu. In other words, whatever transpired there in the presence of Mahaprabhu should be taken by us as approved by him. So we won't dare to interfere with that. He is above law. His will is law. Law comes from his sweet will. This principle we must not forget. Everything is not only designed, but also destined by him. The whole universe is designed and destined according to his sweet will. His position is so high and unchallengeable, and it is absolute good. Rules and regulations are created only to take us to the absolute good. But the absolute good is not under those rules or any law. The absolute is independent above everything. Krishna Lila is the nearest approach to the absolute good himself. He is whimsical. If we realize that much, that is the best conception. To place any restriction over the absolute good is to commit suicide. Do you follow? Devotee says, yes. So, this we see that people think that God should also be under the laws of the world. We see, I had a conversation with a Muslim man once, and he said, your God is immoral God, because he's going with other men's wives and dancing with girls in the middle of the night. And this is not any kind of moral God. This should not be allowed. So this is their idea, that God also is under the rule of the world. For you and I, certainly we should not go dancing with other men's wives. But for him, actually the truth is that we are the trespasser. Everything belongs to him. And what we claim to be ours is actually, Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, dacoity. It is dacoity. So, but for some peace in society, under the law, marriage has been authorized, and the law is like that. I won't take your wife, you don't take my wife. We live peacefully like that. That's the basis of that. But to think that he should also be under that, that God should also be under that is foolishness, because he is, as Guru Maharaj just said, he is the law, and law comes from his sweet will. He does not have to be under that. So, and if he comes to take something from us, that not only should we not object to that, we should be happy for that. We should consider ourselves blessed for that. We heard from Guru Maharaj, there was one famous devotee in Puri, his name was Madhav Das. And in the middle of the night, Lord Jagannath came to him and said, I want to go and steal jackfruits from the panda's house. And so Madhav said, okay, my lord. And so they went together, Lord Jagannath and Madhav. And Jagannath climbed the tree of the panda's house and started, pulling the jackfruit from there. And as he's doing that, it's making a lot of noise, and he's throwing the jackfruits to Madhav. And the panda, he woke up, heard this, and came out. And when Jagannath saw him coming, Jagannath immediately disappeared. And just Madhav left there with all this jackfruit. And also, when Jagannath jumped from the tree, he left his cloth there that he was wearing. So then the panda came and said, oh, you Madhav Das, you're everyone thinking you're such a great devotee, but really you're just a thief, aren't you? Just coming in the middle of the night and to steal my jackfruit. And so the police were called, and he's saying, no, I came with Jagannath. And, oh, you're such a rascal, you want to blame it on Jagannath. He said, no, there's his cloth in the tree, and he said, oh, and just to add insult to injury, you steal the Lord's cloth as well. So they put him in the cell, the police, and they beat him with lati, with the stick. They beat him, and then in the night, and when the panda went back to sleep in the night, then Jagannath, in the morning, Jagannath came to the panda, and in his dream, and said, "Oh, ask the priest to bring some salve for my back." And he said, "Why, Lord?" He said, "Because last night I was stealing jackfruits from your tree, and I got away, but Madhav, my friend Madhav, he was caught, and you gave him beating on his back, but I took that beating on my own back." And then and the panda woke up, and he told the priest, "Bring some salve to put on Lord Jagannath's back." And when they looked, there were beating marks on Lord Jagannath's back, and so they massaged that. Then, of course, that Madhav became even more famous as a devotee of the Lord, and everyone was, trying to get his darshan, and so he had to leave Puri because he was too embarrassed. That devotees don't like name and fame. So this is one example. The Lord is above law, and if if we break the law, then we'll be punished by the law. But his breaking the law, that is wonderful and divine. So when we hear about the Lord's law breaking, and this is personified in Krishna. Krishna is lying and cheating and hunting for girls in the night in the forest and stealing and all of these things. And the devotees find that to be worshipable in him. Krishna's name is Makhan Chor, right? The butter thief. And the devotees glorify that. They sing songs about that. That is considered a wonderful thing, that the Lord has such a playful nature. And this is, I only find this in Krishna. Now, not in any other avatar of the Lord. Even Ramchandra, he is a Marjada Purushottama. He won't break any law. He must follow the law exactly. But Krishna, he's breaking every law. And the devotees are pleased for that. When Ram was in Dandakaranya forest, the sages, as a group, they came to him and they said, "My Lord, we know who you are. And it is our desire that we can change our form into female form, and we desire to have union with you." And Ram said, "No, in this avatar that is not possible, because I have made a vow to only have one wife, and that is Sita Devi. But in Dwapara Yuga I will come again as Krishna, and you can take birth as cowherd girls, then you will get your desire." So this is the unique nature of Krishna, above all avatars. So Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. So Guru Maharaj continues. But it is not only good, but absolute good. Our intellect cannot comprehend it. Once, Swami Maharaj and myself had a talk here. Then after going from here to that blue house where Swami Maharaj stayed for 3 weeks, his disciple Achyutananda asked him, "What sort of talk did you have with Sridhar Maharaj?" Swami Maharaj replied to him, "If you hear that, you will faint." What does it mean, faint? It means it is beyond the reach of your consciousness, unintelligible to you in your present stage of realization. Once, Ramanujacharya wanted to modify the rules and regulations that are practiced in the Jagannath temple. While contemplating in this way, he slept on a bedstead. And when he awoke, he found that his body, along with his bedstead, was cast to Kurmakana of the Ganjam district in southern India, some hundreds of miles away from the Jagannath temple. He suddenly awoke. "Where am I?" he thought. "You gave me inspiration by instructing me in a dream to modify the existing rules and regulations that are being practiced in the temples. And now, why do you oppose me? I wanted to modify the current practice of rules and regulations at the Jagannath temple." Then he again dreamt of the Lord, and the Lord told him, "No, don't modify here. Go elsewhere. You got the dream for the sake of other temples, but not here. Go and preach your regulations in all other temples, save and except this temple, the Jagannath temple." So Pundarik Vidyanidhi is considered to be the incarnation of Srimati Radharani's father here in Gaura Leela. And he thought, "What are these pandas? They are awkward people. They do not know what is pure or impure. Indiscriminately, they use starched cloth for dressing the Jagannath deity." At night, he found that Jagannath and Balaram, 2 brothers, had come to his bedside and were slapping him on both cheeks. In the morning, he found that his cheeks were swollen. Others asked him, "Why are your cheeks so swollen?" He had to recount the incident. In effect, the Lord was saying, "This is not the place to suggest any change in the regulations that is going on under my direction. Don't interfere." So there is some special grant, and there are some special rules for that place. He is absolute, unquestionable. Our inquiries need be only for the purpose of understanding something of the inevitability of how everything enters into the absolute good. Any law ever conceived of ultimately enters into the absolute good. Mostly this is a matter beyond our conception. Patita Pavan Jagannath, Sarveshwara, Brindavana Chandra, Sarva Rasera Akara. When enumerating 120 names of Krishna, the Sri Krishna Vimsotara Shatanam, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions at the end, Patita Pavana Jagannath has come to save the fallen. And Krishna's special quality is that he is the emporium of all rasas. Brindavan Chandra Sarva Rasera Akara, the very source of all types of ecstasy personified. That is Krishna. Mahaprabhu is also Patita Pavan. He passed the major portion of his life there in Jagannath Puri. Patita Pavan means savior of the fallen. Everything has its speciality. As a doctor may prescribe medicine with a free diet, except for restrictions on only 2 or 3 items, similarly, in the case of the temple of Lord Jagannath, we also see great liberality, with the exception of a few items. When I first began to appreciate Mahaprabhu and come to this line, I thought that if Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of God, then why didn't he overthrow the non-Vedic rule? Why did he tolerate the non-Vedic rule here in India? He could have overthrown it easily. That was a question. But gradually I came to realize that this was a very trifling matter. The ruling power or political life has nothing to do with spiritual life. Queen Kunti rather welcomed adversity. She prayed, "Keep me always in a dangerous position. That will be convenient for me to pray for your grace. And ordinary worldly favorable circumstances will encourage me to ignore your valuable grace. So always keep me in adversity." That was her prayer. So the political environment, social environment, all other campaigns have no value. According to the result of our karma, we shall be placed in a particular environment, and we must start our spiritual life from wherever we are placed. We must begin our work of conquering all those samskaras that comprise the mental encasements that we are living in. Tattenu kampam shushamikṣamanu. We should not only live in our present position without complaint, but moreover, we shall have to consider it as really necessary for our upliftment. In this way, we have to accept whatever adversities that come to us as the grace of the Lord. We must cope with this positive angle of vision of goodness. This is my real necessity. There is no error in the calculation of the Lord. This test has been extended to me for my benefit. To stand, to face and cross the opposition is my chance to have my progress in life. This test has been given by Krishna to facilitate my progressive life. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we are advised to face all adverse circumstances in such an optimistic way. Then very easily and swiftly, we shall cross these walls of misunderstanding, this Maya, and we will be liberated, and more, we will have participation in Krishna consciousness, the life of dedication. And somebody asks, "Maharaj, I have a question. I have heard 2 things. One, that a Vaishnav sannyas is the devotional line, and I have also heard that it is a formality of Varnashram Dharma. What is it really?" So Guru Maharaj replies, "The outer touch of sannyas is within Varnashram Dharma, the socio-religious system, but it also has its positive side. Both negative and positive sides are to be considered. Danda means punishment as well as a staff. The 3 dandas represent thought, word, and deed. On the negative side, the 3 dandas of the symbolic triple staff, or tridanda, that the Vaishnava sannyasi accepts, indicate that he should not use his thought, word, and deed for any mundane or exploitative aim and object. But the positive side is that he will punish his thought, word, and deed to engage them in the service of Krishna, Narayan. Then the function becomes Vaishnavism. Those who do not believe in the positive side of life may accept sannyas only as abstinence from using their thought, word, and deed for any mundane purpose. They will prefer mona, silence, but the Vaishnava sannyasi will prefer Krishna Kirtan, singing the glories of the Lord. They have the positive side. So to check these 3 aspects of life from mingling with the incidents of this mundane world is only one side. But the other side is to use them for the spiritual object. This is Vaishnava sannyas. So then someone asks, doesn't a brahmachari or a grihasta also utilize his 3rd thought, word, and deed for the spiritual objective? Guru Maharaj replies, of course, but the renounced order, or the order of sannyas, is a special emblem, a reminder. It doesn't follow that one who has not taken sannyas will not engage his faculties in spiritual service. A grihasta paramahamsa, who is a parashada bhakta, associate servitor, is also possible without sannyas. He may not necessarily have a sacred thread either. The necessity is only to remind us of that life. That is healthy. The sacred thread, the red cloth, the danda, they always caution us. Think that you have dedicated your life for the spiritual objective. You are meant only for this, so be alert. Don't misuse your red cloth, your sacred thread, the tulsi mala, etc. They will remind us always. They have their utility. A Siddha Mahatma, perfected great soul, may not have red cloth. Sanatana Goswami and others wore ordinary white cloth. They accepted the minimum necessity of garments. No red cloth, no danda, no sacred thread. Pure life is possible without those things. But for the beginners, these things will be helpful. So they are introduced into the society of the Vaishnava school in the lower plane. And sometimes the higher also come to accept those lower emblems, as for example, Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Such an emblem on the dress of a world acharya is also there to help the public to give proper respect to the wearer. If he is in ordinary dress, the people won't show any respect or give any attention to his words and teachings. If a policeman or soldier is in his uniform, people will show some respect to the police or the military. But a military man or policeman may patrol in plain dress also, and do even higher service. Still, the uniform is necessary to regulate the society. So this is something like a uniform. The society should learn to take them as the teachers, the holy men, and feel we should deal with them very gently for our future benefit. The society will also reap that benefit, and that holy man will also gain some instruction. Oh, I should not mix with anyone and everyone. It should be seen that my practices keep up the standard, the model of the teachers. Otherwise, independent of such symbols, a man can culture his spiritual life without taking the role of a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi. Internally, he can improve his heart. So we see that Not in India you see that, but not as much as you see it in Thailand. In Thailand, there they have very great respect for the red cloth and the holy people. If you go anywhere, when I've been traveling in Thailand, if I've been with Madhusudan Maharaj, they always make him front of the queue for the flight, give him the first class seat. He go on the bus, they don't charge anything. On the train, no charge anything. And you do find that in India still. Krishna Sharan Aranya Maharaj, he would go all the way from Navadvip to Vrindavan on the train and not pay. Sometimes they try to make him pay, but he would say, "No, I'm sadhu. You cannot charge me for traveling on the." And generally, his personality is very strong, so they wouldn't make a thing of it. But in Thailand, you see that that's a very big thing. They may not follow any spiritual life themselves, but they respect those who do, and they respect very much the red cloth there. In fact, when Srila Govinda Maharaj went there, they knew, when he flew into Thailand, the people in the airport, they knew that a holy man is coming. And as he came to the passport control, all of the men and women that were in the booths, when you go up, they all came out and they all knelt on the floor before him. And also they all turned their face away from him, because in their culture, you shouldn't look a superior in the eye. So they look, and the man who wanted to see his passport, he's saying, "Please, Swamiji, show me your passport." And you take the passport like this, and then they all, gave this honor and respect. And in fact, 2 years ago, every year we have a Kartik festival now in Thailand, in our farm in Thailand. And 2 years ago, one of Srila Govinda Maharaj's cooks, Gopal, you all know Gopal, so he was invited to come to cook for the devotees there. And when he came, his wife won't give him any money. She said, he's coming from Navadvip, and she'll just allow him a little pocket money. She won't let him take any money with him. And Amir Sindhu, who's a Russian devotee, he was meant to arrange Gopal's visa for Thailand, but being inexperienced, he did it online on a bogus website. So he paid for a visa and everything, and they issued him a bogus visa, and took the money. So Gopal, he has that visa when he arrives there, and when he goes up to the passport control, they just say, "No, this is a fake visa. It's not a real visa. You've been cheated." So they say, "But don't worry, you can go to there. They have visa on arrival. You can just go there and get visa on arrival." So he goes there, but you have to pay for it there. And he only got a little money. He hasn't got enough to pay for the visa there, So they say, "Oh, ask your countrymen. You've all just arrived on a flight from India." They say, "Ask your countrymen. Maybe they'll give you some." No one would give him any money. So maybe one man gave some money to him, but not enough to cover the visa. So he calls to the farm, and they speak to Krishna Priya, Paramananda's wife. She's Thai, so she can speak in Thai. And she's discussing, and she says, "Oh, I'll pay for it with my credit card on the." And they say, "No, we can't accept that kind of payment. It has to be like here." So then she says, "Oh, then I'll have to come there." It's maybe 2 hours to get to the airport from the farm. So they said, "No, you call us back in an hour." The lady says, So then when she calls back in an hour, she said, because she told her he's trying to raise the money from the passengers who came on the plane with him. So he come back. So she rings back in an hour, and the lady in the customs, immigration, she says, he couldn't raise enough money to make the. She says, "Okay, I'm coming." She said, No, it's okay, because he told us that he's coming to cook for your spiritual festival, and we all want to help with that. So all of the immigration officers, they all chipped in and they paid for his visa. And he came, and that's a remarkable thing. I mean, that would, even in India, that wouldn't happen. They'd be like, on your way, jog on, you know, they weren't there. But in Thailand, they wanted to do. And she said, oh, I'll come and reimburse you them. And they said, no, we want to contribute to that festival.
But didn't he get paid because he was going to cook there?
Yeah, he was given some,
Some money.
some dakshin, yeah, but that was after. He didn't get that before. So yeah, of course, yeah. That's why his wife wouldn't give him any money to come. Just some pocket money. They'll give you some money for coming to cook, and they did. But anyhow, so Srila Gurudev, when after that happened, when he arrived, and they all knelt down in front of him, and he's going in the car afterwards, and he says to Paramananda, now I can understand from that this is the best country in the whole world, because they have some appreciation of religious people. In fact, the king there, doesn't matter what his name is, when he becomes king, he becomes Ram. They call the king Ram there, you know. Yeah.
Did they do that for the Buddhist monks?
Yeah. I mean, it's mainly Buddhist in Thailand, and everyone there. It's part of the culture that every man will be a monk for a year, perhaps, you know, a year or 2 years, and then they go on with that. And as I went to some of the monasteries because there's some very beautiful temples there, and a lot of it's mixed with Vedic culture as well. Although they're Buddhist monks, there you'll see in deity of Indra, Lakshmi, Ganesh. You know, they're all there in the temple too, but then you also see the monks standing on the side of the road smoking cigarettes. You know? and I asked the abbot at one of the temples there, oh, they're smoking cigarettes, and he says, yeah, not only that, they have the weekends off. So on the weekend they go off partying on the weekend. And I said, oh, is that a good idea? And he said, if we didn't allow that, they wouldn't come back the next week. So, you know, there's a strange mixture of things with that. But anyhow.
One time we were traveling, going to India.
Yeah.
Sundari Didi from Ireland, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And Devashis Prabhu and me. I think we were going to India. And we were sitting kind of together, but the Devashis Prabhu's seat was a little bit there.
Yeah.
Then the air hostess comes and she said, oh, you can go in first class.
Okay.
Space. So Devashis Prabhu, because he was wearing dhoti.
Yeah.
He just went in first class.
Very nice, very good. Yeah.
He was doing tilak and dhoti.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I'll dress up next time.
And Srila Govinda Maharaj also. You know that it's a fairly new airline. What's it called? Jet Air. So now they fly internationally, but they started off just as a domestic airline in India. And the first time we went with Gurudev to Vrindavan, we went on the train. That train that goes from Howrah to Mathura Junction, it's called the Tufan Express. And Tufan means like whirlwind. It's the slowest train you've ever been on your life. It takes 24 hours if it's on time. It took us 32 hours to get to Mathura Junction on that train. And Gurudev came with us, so we had that time with him. But after that, he always flew on Jet Airways, and they always gave a free ticket to him and one servant for him to go there. So that recognition of the sadhu is still there in India. So Guru Maharaj says.
Maybe because there's so many people begging on the side street wearing saffron, so maybe that's why they're not so keen.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. There's to be some discrimination. So then somebody asked Guru Maharaj, Jai Guru. Maharaj, how does one understand or deal with the fall down of a sannyasi or brahmachari? What is the correct understanding? Srila Guru Maharaj reply. Generally, we shall take it that there was some offence for which he could not keep the standard of life that was expected of him by his Guru Maharaj. That should be the general way of thinking about them. Some previous offence is taking its course and not allowing him to go on smoothly in the way of his realization. If it suddenly appeared and checked him, in particular cases it may be Vaishnava aparad or offence against a Vaishnava. And sometimes in general cases, previous bad karma may have come and stood in the way of his progress. We must always be cautious with our free choice. A minor requires the vigilant eye of the major guardian. In our immature stage, our free will is surrounded by many deviations. Thus, in our lower stage, it will be safe to be constantly under the guidance of a bona fide guardian until we attain promotion to the major stage. This is necessary. And that devotee says, so Guru Maharaj, if one has initiation and his karma has been removed, how is it possible for his previous karma to check him? Then Guru Maharaj's reply, oh, do you think that by initiation all karma is finished at once? That is not claimed anywhere. The disciples are given a chance, admission. When a doctor has accepted a patient, it doesn't mean that he is immediately cured. He must follow the direction of the doctor, take proper diet and medicine. Then he may expect that he will be cured shortly. To call the doctor and have his prescription does not mean that the patient is fully cured. This is not practical thinking. Why hover in the theoretical, imaginary world? And the devotee says, I was told in a religious mission I joined that at the time of initiation, all previous karma is taken away. Is it not like that? Guru Maharaj replies, such a statement is only meant in the context that when you have called for a good doctor and accepted his treatment, your cure is guaranteed. Otherwise, we see that so many veterans are going down. If the Guru is so great as to be able to create a great revolution in the world, and he has given mantra to the disciples he has accepted, yet many of them are also falling back. Why? The initiation is a recommendation. It is not final cure. The cure is guaranteed under the treatment of a good doctor. But if, as a patient, you don't care to accept his guidance and secretly indulge in an evil diet, of what value is your doctor? When you have a good doctor, your cure is almost guaranteed. But you have to follow him. And also it is possible that if you are becoming a little ill and your doctor comes to know that my patient has taken this bad diet or he did not use my medicine, then the doctor will again take up the case more seriously and he will cure you. We may receive such help from the Guru and Vaishnava, but our free choice is never snatched away. This is an important thing for us to understand. Just from the word initiation, initiate means to begin. It doesn't mean that everything is you have everything all at once, like some magician's touch or something. I often describe it like an admission letter. So if you apply to study at Oxford or Cambridge University and they accept you, then you'll get a letter from them saying you've been accepted to study here. And they don't just let anybody in. When my daughter, both my daughters, when they were looking to see which university they should apply to, then their representatives came from both from Oxford and Cambridge. and both of them said, we only accept students who are 100% committed to this. They don't have any other, secondary idea about what their life will be. 100% dedication, otherwise go to a different university. They were told that more or less straight away. So they don't accept everybody and anybody to go and study at Oxford. You have to have, all the qualifications from the school and everything. So, but if you do get accepted there, it's a big deal, right? Well, the best universities in the country, perhaps, and recognized as that, then you get your letter of acceptance from Oxford University. Maybe you're very proud of that, and you put it in a frame and put it on the wall of your room, And when people come and visit you, you went to Oxford. No, I didn't go. That's a no, I just got accepted. I didn't actually go. So, so initiation, something like that, is your acceptance letter. You've been accepted to study in the Bhagavat school of Shukadev Goswami, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You're accepted. And the initiation is your acceptance letter from Guru and Krishna. But just that isn't enough. If you don't then follow the teachings and the practices of that school and study in that school, you won't qualify. And so, similarly, if you then later on go and try and get a job somewhere and you just take your acceptance letter from Oxford, then they'll say, well, what kind of degree did you... No, I didn't go. Forget it. Come back to us when you've got your degree, isn't it? So, that's... Initiation means that. It's not just that, I got the beads and I got the name and, now everything's all over. No, not at all. That's the beginning. So... Until and unless we find in our heart a real taste for the truth, we are not safe. And just to say, actually, just going back to that university metaphor, my oldest daughter, she went to Leeds University. And the first year, this was a new thing to her, right? She's in the halls there, they're living in the halls. And now she's free, It's not like when you're at school. If you don't turn up, nobody comes knocking on the door. Why aren't you going to the lectures? And that's what she's like. This new found freedom that she has. She told me, I used to just sleep in. I didn't go to the lectures. And for the whole first year, she hardly attended any of the lectures at all. And we tried to. We used to ring her in the morning to wake her up, to get her out of the bed, And she'd say, yes, I'm up, and I'm going to the... And then later on she said, when I put the phone on, I just go back to bed. She got a very good degree, finally, but I don't know how, because, she didn't go to any of the lectures for the whole first year, practically speaking. But anyway, and nobody came like, why, but somehow or another she managed to catch up. So you can go to the, join the ashram after initiation, live in the temple, but just sleep all the time. And what's going to happen? So until and unless we find in our heart a real taste for the truth, we are not safe. First, over the surface, spiritual life begins with Shraddha, faith, and underground with Sukriti, or special merit. Next is Sadhu Sangha, or the company with the sadhus. Within that is our surrender to Guru. Then Bhajan, our serving life in various forms, such as Shravana, Kirtana, Prashad Sevana, or hearing, chanting, respecting the Lord's remnants, etc., begins. Then Anartha Nivritti, our attraction for objects other than Krishna, objects other than God, diminishes. Then Nishta, continued attempt for the service, and not for otherwise. Then ruchi, taste, will be created. Real taste for the truth will be created. That is awakened in our heart. We are safe then, but not before that. When spontaneous taste for the truth is awakened within us, we are safe. We can make fair progress from that time. Prior to that, we must remain under the guardian. Taste will take me. I have acquired the taste of sweetness, so automatically I shall run towards that which is very sweet. Until and unless we find that the truth is sweet, that Krishna is sweet, we are not safe in our approach towards him. So many distractions may take us hither and thither. Then the devotee asks, Maharaj, is the Guru also under the law of karma? Guru Maharaj, he is not under the law of karma. Guru, as I have mentioned before, from the examples of the sadhus and the scriptures, is generally of three kinds. One comes from Vaikuntha, or the land of wholesale truth. He comes here as an agent to take the soul up. Another guru has one step here and another step there, and he carries persons from here to there. The last type of guru has 2 feet here, but his eyes are fixed there, and he takes persons along with him to that plane. So that's the end of that chapter. So the principle of guru, very difficult to understand actually. As our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, used to say, anyone can make a chair for themselves and say, I'm guru, but it doesn't make one guru. In fact, guru is made by the disciple. If you don't have any disciples, then what kind of guru? It means, once when Gurudev was here, you remember Jai Krishna Prabhu, he had this studio, and he was making, at that time, no one else in the UK was making this vinyl shop signs. And our godbrother in America, Mathuranath, he made a business of this. He's making, excuse me, vinyl signs for the side of trucks and shop fronts and so on. And so Jai Krishna got all of the machines to make that, and you do it, you design on your computer, and it prints it out on these big vinyl sheets, and then you apply it to the side of the van, or the lorry, or the shop front, or whatever. And no one at that time was doing that in the UK. And Srila Gurudev came, and they took him to see Jai Krishna's studio, and he was doing everything. But the thing is, you see, he had no way then of advertising his service to anybody. It wasn't like now. There wasn't the internet like there is now, that you can easily do that. And in fact, the whole time when he had that studio, he had one job. He got one job the whole time, and that was in Ilford. There was a store. It was the Elvis store, and he did all the signage for that. But when Govinda Maharaj looking around and he saw everything, and he thought, yeah, this is all good. Then he said to Jai Krishna, only one problem with this. And yes, Maharaj, what's the problem? He said, no customers. That's the problem. You can't be successful if you don't have any customers. And so, that has to be part of your strategy, how to advertise and how to draw in customers. So he had no way of doing that, or didn't know how to do that, had no mechanism for doing that. So ultimately his business failed in that. So, similarly, anyone can say, I am guru. But actually, in fact, in the 70s, maybe Jagannath, you remember, there used to be this guru, Dafri John, you remember him? They called him the laughing guru. He used to teach people through laughing, Dafri John, he was called, or anyway. And he wrote a book, and the book was I Am Guru. That was the title of the book, I Am Guru. So anyhow, it doesn't mean anything, anyone can grow a big beard and put a turban on or whatever. There is that one who's very popular now called Sadhguru, and he talks complete nonsense mostly, complete nonsense. But people go, they are attracted by him because he looks the part, looks the part. But that isn't what Guru is. Guru is the intermediary between us and the divine. The word Guru means heavy, like the Himalayas, immovable, Guru. And the opposite of Guru is Lagu. That means light. This can be tossed here, there, everywhere. So the Lagu, that's us, we have to become under the direction of the Guru. And Guru Maharaj describes that we are searching towards the divine. We are looking towards the divine. And the divine, the Lord, Krishna, he wants to extend his grace to us. And where those two meet, that principle is called Guru. When Krishna is able to grace us through what's known as the Mahant Guru, the Mahanta Guru. Two types of Guru. Chaitanya Guru means the Guru in the heart, and Mahanta Guru means the Guru who we see in the form of a person. So, in our fallen stage, you can say, when we are very much covered by Maya, then the Chaitanya Guru is not reliable, because we imagine that what our mind is telling us, that's the direction of the Chaitanya Guru. So then, for that reason, Guru comes in the form of the Mahanta Guru. That means the sadhu, the saintly person. They come and they teach us as Guru in that form, the Mahanta Guru. But
a guy called Amrita Leela, he was in Ireland, the assistant of Tidalima. Eventually he became Guru.
Some kind of Guru.
Some
Yeah.
kind of.
But as Gurudev say, anyone can say, I'm Guru, and set up a little shop for that, and even get some followers too, maybe. But there are descriptions in the scripture by which we can understand if someone who's claiming to be Guru is Guru. And generally, the first alarm bell will be somebody claiming to be Guru. Because the Guru is not out for making some business. There are plenty of people out there who will, in the guise of Guru, take your money from you and make a living from that. But the real Guru is not interested in that. The real Guru wants to impart Dibya Gyan, or divine knowledge, to the disciple. And not for making some business, some trade. And what is the nature of that person? All of these things we can find in the scripture. But still necessary for something from our side. It's not just, even if you accept a bona fide, real Guru, just acceptance of that isn't enough. You yourself have to practice and follow what he teaches. So, as Guru Maharaj says, when you engage the doctor, it's up to you to take his medicine and follow his advice. Don't eat this kind of food, do this kind of exercise every day or whatever. You have to follow that. And if you don't, what can be said? And Guru Maharaj says, the consulting physician, he may not care. I've given my advice. You follow or don't follow, it's up to you. But the family doctor, he may, I've known your mother and father, and you must follow. He may give some more personal attention to you. And we're fortunate if we can have that kind of Guru, not just the consulting physician. But anyhow. Yeah, and this is what Guru Maharaj is just saying here. 3 types of Guru. So the Uttamadhikari Guru is coming from Vaikuntha, from the spiritual world. He's fully situated there, and he's extending his hand from there to us. This is the topmost type of guru. But then there's the middle type guru, Madhyamadikari guru. He has 1 foot there in Vaikuntha, 1 foot here in the material world. But he's taking everyone there. And then Kanishta Adhikari guru, he's both feet here. He's here in the material world, conditioned soul, you can say, but his eyes are towards Vaikuntha. He's looking towards the spiritual world and saying, let's all go together there. So, then these kind of guru, they're all guru. They're all guru. And that is not a disqualification. But because what is coming through the guru, Krishna says to Uddhava, Acharjamam Vijanayat Navamanyeta Kahichit, that I am the Acharya, that what's coming through me to you, what's coming through the guru to you is coming from me. So Guru Maharaj would say the inspired side of a Vaishnava is guru. Not that he has to be some kind of like Superman, invulnerable person or something like that. He may have his human side also, but he's pure practices and nature, and so the Vani is coming through him. So this is the guru. But from our side, it is necessary to follow and practice. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's told that there are 4 main anarthas that prevent us from progressing in spiritual life. And the first anartha is misidentification of the soul, self. That in spite of hearing so much, we're still thinking that this body is me. And that, this idea that we have, all of our thoughts, all of our position, our family, and all of these things, that makes up who I am. So this is an anartha, because none of those things are actually true. We are the pure spiritual being, and that all of these other things, they're all saguna, or just for now. Just for now, they're not actually who we are. So this is the first anartha. And the second anartha is desire for the things of this world. Desire for wealth and, position in society and so many things. Health, wealth, and a cottage by the sea. Om Jai Jagadisha Hari. That's also considered as an anartha, wanting so many things of this material world, success in the material world, all of that. No, there's nothing actually worth being ambitious for in this material world. There is nothing. It is all just a fantasy. All here today, gone tomorrow. And whoever you are, however rich and famous and important you become, that all goes when you die. And not only that, if you're attached to that, then you'll have to return to this world again, be reborn again because of that attachment. And Krishna says that in the Gita, what you think of at the time of your death, that will determine where you go after death. So if you're thinking about all these things of this world, then you're coming back to this world. So, then, and it's not just about like at that moment that, I did so many things in my life, but at the last moment I told the name of Krishna. That, of course, that's wonderful, but it means like, how did you make your life? That will determine what you're thinking about at the end of your life. It must do. So, if you've just been thinking about material things, then when your life ends, you'll be thinking about material things. But if you've been trying to cultivate your inner life, your spiritual life, that will come to rescue you at the time of your departure from this world. He will come to your aid if he sees that. So that's the second anartha, is desire for the things of this world, and the third anartha. Anartha means unwanted things. And the third anartha is offences. The offences, there are so many different kinds of offences, but mainly the 10 offences given in the Padma Purana to the holy name. Thinking the guru to be a mundane person, to be disrespectful to those who have dedicated their life towards disseminating spiritual truth. All of these things, 10 offences there. There's so many offences. So. And finally, the fourth offence, which is probably the most difficult of all, is spiritual lethargy. That you know what you should do, you know what's required of you, but you just can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. Or rather, it looks cold outside, I'm not going to the temple today, I'll just stay at home and watch the TV or something, I know what I should be doing, I should go and serve Krishna, but can't be bothered. That's a very difficult thing in our life, especially because in the Western world particularly, we're all victims of the desire for comfort and convenience. That's how we model our life, to make it as comfortable as we can for myself and those around me, and make it as convenient as we can for ourselves. And that makes us lethargic towards spiritual life. That's why Kunti Devi is saying, as Guru Maharaj told here, always keep me in a dangerous position, because when that happens, and she's speaking from experience, right, what happened to her and the Pandavas. When Narad came looking in Briya Bhagavatamritam, Narad's going from different devotees to find out who's the topmost devotee. And he comes to Yudhisthira Maharaj and the Pandavas, and he says, "Oh, you're Krishna living with you like your family member. You're so close with Krishna. You must be the greatest devotees." And Yudhisthira Maharaj says, "Well, don't tell people that. If they read about all the things that happened in our life, no one will want to be a devotee of Krishna. So many tragedies. We know, right? The poisoned cake, they burnt down the Shalak palace, and they had to live in hiding, away from everyone. Yudhisthira lost everything in the gambling game, and so many tragic things. When he told to Duryodhana, "We just want one village each for us. That'll do. We don't want any big kingdom." Yudhisthira Maharaj told, and Duryodhana said, "I won't give you enough land to fit on the head of a pin." So so many things happened to them. Then Yudhisthira is saying, if you tell people that we're the Krishna's greatest devotees, no one's going to want to be a devotee of Krishna after all of that. But Kunti Devi, from her perspective, she's saying, that's what keeps us in remembrance of you. All these tragic things. Then we're forced to remember you. And it's true. During the First World War, they used to say, there are no atheists in the trenches. Because they had that trench warfare, right? Both sides, they dig these tunnels on the battlefield. And they're living in these trenches. And then at some time, the one side goes over the top and they try and push forward and gain some more territory. And then they dig some more trenches. And it was hell. It was hell there. And all of the men, the soldiers there, they're all praying, "Lord, get me out of this hell." And back at home, the mothers and the wives, they're praying, "Bring my boy home. Bring him home alive." So there's no, they used to say, there are no atheists in the trenches. Everyone's praying to the Lord to get free of all these terrible disasters that come in their lives. And so Kunti Devi is saying, that's a safer position for us. Because when there's calamity, we turn to you, we remember you. And it's true, it is true. When everything's going really well, we don't think about Krishna so much. If you won the lottery, maybe somewhere down the line is use some of the money for Krishna service, but if we're honest, the first thing is, okay, where am I going on holiday? That's the first thought, isn't it? Like, and who am I taking with me? And like, where's the new house that I'm going to buy and the new car? And these are the things that we're all thinking about. And if we think about Krishna at all, it's like, thanks, Krishna, isn't it? You know, that's all. But you know, when people are suffering, then they turn to the Lord. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. 4 types of men surrender to me. And the first is he who's impoverished. And second is who's suffering. And then the next 2, who's inquisitive, and those who want to know the absolute truth. These 4 kinds of men, they surrender to me. So, you know, that's the fact. When we're suffering, we're more likely to turn to the Lord. Please, Lord. And we know that, right? We know that. Many devotees, like myself, before I even knew anything about Krishna, I was kind of suffering, and I'm praying. I was brought up as a Christian, you know, so I'm praying. I didn't really believe in God at all then, but I'm praying because of my suffering situation. If you exist, if you're there, please help me, you know, please help me. I can't carry on like this. And very shortly after that, I met the devotees and got Bhagavad Gita and so many things. But so, you know, that when we're suffering, we're more likely to turn to the Lord. When everything's going zippity-doo-dah, you know, we're not so much. It's just a fact of life. So that's why Kunti Devi is praying like that. We're not Kunti Devi. No one is praying, you know, for suffering to come. Everyone praying for, actually not so much praying that suffering won't come, because suffering is inevitable. Matra sparshas tu kunteya shitosha sukha agama paino nityas tam titikshasha bharata. Krishna says to Arjuna, Shuka and dukkha, happiness and distress, they're like the winter and summer seasons. They're coming to you. You know, we know that. Everybody wants to be happy all the time. And you're going along thinking, you know, oh, you know, everything's dandy, everything's great, everything's going my way, whistling a happy tune, and then suddenly some terrible thing happens in your life. Someone you love dies, or, you know, gets some terminal diagnosis, you know, then where did it come from? Just out of the blue it came, but you can guarantee that it's coming. Suffering is coming. There's an old blues song standard. They're saying, only 3 things for sure: taxes, death, and trouble. And that's true, you know, in life. You know you're gonna be taxed, you know you're gonna die, and you know there's gonna be trouble. So what Krishna's advice to Arjuna is, you have to tolerate both of them, both happiness and distress. So, you know, sometimes when things are going really well, you can get carried away by that, completely carried away by it, intoxicated by it. And when things are going really badly, you can also get completely overwhelmed by that, go into deep depression and can't face the world, all these things. But Krishna says, they're coming to you, like winter's coming, like summer's coming. Then just tolerate it. Tolerate it. Like, be equal to both. If you can be equal to both. But in the general sense. But we do find that, you know, when things are not going well, then if we can see that, then we can turn to the Lord. Please, Lord, help me. And it's not even so much remove me from this situation, but rather give me the strength that I can deal with this situation. Because it's not the situation itself which is necessarily bad, it's how we react to it. So if we can react to it in a spiritual way and see it as something that's coming by the grace of the Lord to teach us something, then even a bad thing, we can see it in a good light if we connect it with Krishna. And remember that everything, Krishna says, not even a blade of grass moves without my sanction. So everything that happens to you is coming from Krishna. If you can see that, as this verse Guru Maharaj always quoting, from Srimad Bhagavatam, taktenu kampam shushamikṣamanu, that who can face their karma, that my karma has come to face me, and still continue with your devotional life, with your spiritual attempt, they'll become the inheritors of the real spiritual wealth. Because those things are coming. And one of Srila Govinda Maharaj's close friends, who's passed away now, Mr. Sanyal, he came here a few times, but he was a big businessman in Calcutta. And his business partner absconded with all the money, the pensions, everything. He just took everything and disappeared. And so they can't find him. So Mr. Sanyal's the other partner in the business. So he's held responsible for it. And he's arrested. Although it was nothing to do with him, who took the money, nothing. He's arrested and he's under house arrest. And it became so intolerable, his whole family left him. His wife, his children, they didn't want anything to do with him like this. He's just like living under house arrest. And in India, that means if he wants to go anywhere, he has to be accompanied by police officers. And those police officers, he has to pay for them to accompany him wherever he goes. So every week, he's going with one police officer to the temple, and he's coming to the temple and doing service there. And then after some time, he got friendly with that police officer, and that police officer said, Mr. Sanyal, why are you always coming to the temple to worship Krishna? He's not done anything to help you in your life, has he? Look at your life's a ruin. It's in a ruin. Your family have left you. You're being held under house arrest. You're being blamed for all the money that's gone missing, everything. What's Krishna done for you? And Mr. Sanyal said to him, oh, I don't come to worship Krishna expecting that he's going to put things right in my life. I come to worship Krishna because I have love for Krishna. And what he does or doesn't do, that's his business. But I have love for Krishna, so I want to come and serve Krishna. And when Gurudev heard that, he was very impressed by that. So, this is an example. That Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, some people say we should worship God because of all the good gifts that he has given us. He said, that's okay, but that implies if he doesn't give us any good gifts, then we shouldn't worship him. So this isn't pure devotion. This is like a trade. But Mahaprabhu, he says, whether you embrace me, or whether you deal with me roughly, or whether you're completely indifferent to me, it doesn't matter. You're still my worshipable Lord, unconditionally, birth after birth after birth. So this is the acme, or standard of pure devotion. We don't expect anything in return for that. Sometimes people say, if you put £1 in the donation box, and that'll come back to you 100-fold. Or something like that. But we don't care for that. We're not trying to make some trade with Krishna. I'll give something to you now and then you can reward me later on. No, we want to give something to Krishna because we want to show our love for Krishna. We don't care about any return. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, everyone knows no risk, no gain. Everyone knows that saying, right? No risk, no gain. Greater risk, greater gain. Highest risk, highest gain. But, he said, but are you ready for all risk and no gain? If you're ready for that, then that's pure devotion. That you'll risk everything and not expect anything in return. My only duty is to serve. And how you deal with me, that's up to you. All I want, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, make me your slave. And all I want in payment for that is love, to be able to love you more and give me more service and more capacity to do more service. That's all I require. And nothing from me, no trade-off. If I give you this, then you give me this, and this in return. I had a friend that I used to work with who was a Christian, and he told me, when we have a prayer meeting every week, but before the prayer meeting we have a pre-prayer meeting. So then I'll say to you, so what do you need? And you'll say, oh, well, my daughter's taking her exam in this, then, and my car, it's finished, I need a new car, then you say, okay, what about you? And I say, well, I'm having difficulty paying the rent this month, or whatever it is, right? And then you go in to the prayer meeting, and he says, we know we shouldn't pray for ourselves. So I'll say, oh, please let my friend's daughter pass her exam, and give him a new car, and in return my friend will say, please help him pay the rent. And I said, his name was Courtney, and I said, Courtney, do you think God's fooled by that? He said, what do you mean? Well, he said, you're trying to trick him, right? But not praying for yourself. You get your friend to pray for you, and in return you pray for your friend. Does God fall for it, do you think? He said, oh, I never thought of it like that before. We can't fool him. He knows what we need, more than we need. And so you don't need to pray for those things. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, your karma is coming to you. There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's already preordained. It's coming to you, good or bad. Nothing you can do to stop it happening. Nothing you can do to make it happen. If it's in the stars that you're going to be rich, you don't need to do anything. It'll happen. It'll come to you. And if it's not in the stars for you to become rich, no matter what you do, you can't change that. We're taught this at school, aren't we? If you work hard, you can achieve anything. That's really not true. From our experience, we know that many people work really hard and have nothing at all to show for it. And some people, they do the bare minimum and get everything handed to them on a plate, isn't it? We know that. That's just how things are in the world. So, whatever's coming to you is going to come to you. Good or bad, it's coming already. So you don't need to spend your time to try and make it happen or stop it happen. It's coming. Utilize your time to cultivate your spiritual nature, that which is within you, because that is the real thing. That is reality. That's the thing. Whoops! That is the thing that stays with you. When you die, that goes with you. Your new car and the 60-inch television, all that, you can't take any of that with you. But what you've developed, what you've cultivated, your internal life, that carries you to your next life, and it must be a better life. Excuse me. So that should be our focus. What can I do to awaken my spiritual nature? Everything else is just gravy, as they say. It's coming. It doesn't matter. Okay, anyway. Finish here. Does anyone have a question? Yeah.
Regarding the three types of guru, if the disciple follows the instructions properly, do they attain different destinations?
Actually, Srila Prabhupada writes in his purports that the duty of a disciple is to try and find the highest guru that they can, because you can be a disciple of a Madhyam or a Kanishta guru, but you won't progress any more than they have progressed. But at the same time, our whole line is Shiksha line. So the initiation and all of that may just be a formality, more or less a formality. The real thing is the instruction of the guru, Shiksha guru, parampara. So if you can find and follow the Shiksha guru, then you can attain the highest type of advancement. It doesn't mean it's only if you rigidly stick to the idea that your guru is a particular body, particular person. The guru is that, but more than that. The guru is the spiritual principle, and that we may find everywhere and anywhere. And it's told you can have one Diksha Guru, but you may have many Shiksha Guru. And in fact, Sridhar Maharaj says, the Shiksha Guru is like a lens. So the Guru means transparent, not opaque. So when you have a telescope, you want to see, a distant star. With the naked eye, you won't see much. With your glasses, you won't see much either. But if you have a good telescope, and I mean now they're all electronic, but previously, it has many, many different lenses, one in front of the other, in front of the other. And as you adjust it, those lenses help you to see the object very clearly. So Sridhar Maharaj says the position of Guru Parampara is like the lenses in a telescope, that each of our gurus gives us a different view, and then one in front of the other, in front of the other, in front. Instead of blocking our relationship with the Lord, they make that focus much clearer. And so if we have many guardians, spiritual guardians, then we should consider ourselves to be very fortunate. But that has to be in the proper line. Then we can see everything. They have to be in harmony with one another, all of those.
Does that mean that if one follows the instructions of the Shiksha Gurus, you may end up in a different place to your Diksha Guru?
Yes. Yeah, it's possible, yeah. In fact, when we were in Italy, there was one boy, a young man and his wife there. They were disciples of one guru from ISKCON, actually, from ISKCON Guru. And then they met Srila Govinda Maharaj. And then after meeting Govinda Maharaj, they thought, we made a big mistake, we can see that he's so much more advanced than our guru. So they asked me, will you ask Govinda Maharaj if he'll reinitiate us? So I said, well, I'll ask him, but I can tell you already what his answer will be. But anyway, I said, yeah, I'll ask him. So I went to Govinda Maharaj and I asked him. And he knows that guru, he knew that guru. And that guru, whatever his level of spiritual advancement is or not, he's a good Vaishnava practicing purely to his best ability and, in good standing. So Govinda Maharaj said, no, I can't take some other guru's disciple. That would be wrong to do that. But I said, but they're thinking they made a mistake if they'd have met you before. And he said, yes, but it is not proper. That if their guru has gone away or something, okay, but he's also a Vaishnava in good standing, I won't do that. Then I said, I can tell them that they can accept you as their Shiksha Guru. And in Gurudev said, yes, very good, very good. You tell them Shiksha Guru. And I told them, and they were happy with that. So actually that's the case. We see that in the case of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. His Diksha Guru was Bipin Bihari Goswami, but he considered Jagannath Das Babaji substantially to be his guru, his Shiksha Guru. So, there are precedents for that. Diksha Guru is one thing. To get the mantra from a proper Vaishnava, that is necessary. But the higher teaching may come from a higher Vaishnava. May come. Without any formal diksha.